Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Dale, and I serve as Jefferson's Chief Advancement Officer. And it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the investiture ceremony of Dr. Levon Nazarian as the first William E. Conradi, MD, Professor of Radiology. Congratulations, Dr. Nazarian. Please join me in a round of applause following the introduction of Dr. Nazarian's family with us today. Please welcome Claudia, his wife. Claudia was one of the first people that I met when I arrived at Jefferson in 2014, and we're grateful to her for her service on Jefferson's Women's Board. Also with us is a very proud father, Nazarian. And a quick word about Mr. Nazarian. He has lived the American dream. Born in Aleppo, he earned a degree in pharmacology, was a very successful businessman in New Jersey. He is a model citizen, active in his church, generous with his time and philanthropy in the American General Benevolent Union. We're honored to have him with us today. Also here with us are Dr. Nazarian's sons Matthew and Gregory, his daughter Daniela, his sister Seta. Seta played an instrumental role in Dr. Nazarian's career. When he was in medical school, she'd drive him back to school at the end of the weekend with prepared meals for the week. And she also was the person that taught him how to dance. And his nephew, Nicholas, and his favorite uncle and aunt, Karen and Joseph Topshian. Please welcome and congratulate the members of Dr. Nazarian's family. I also need to make a correction. It's the Armenian General Benevolent Union. I apologize. Well, you're going to hear a lot today about Dr. Nazarian and his professional achievements, as well as his lifelong love of a certain professional baseball team. Unfortunately, it's not the Phillies. Well, I met Dr. Nazarian a few weeks ago to talk about today's ceremony and to get to know him better. I came to his office with a list of questions and a frayed and slightly torn rotator cuff. His reputation as a caregiver is just outstanding, so I figured, well, I'll make this a double header at this meeting. And I left with a deep, deep respect for Dr. Nazarian and a shoulder that felt 1,000 times better. Dr. Nazarian is internationally known. He is a pioneer in his field, and his CV is the length of a book. So in my conversation, I asked him, what are you most proud of in this very long, distinguished career? And he replied, serving as editor-in-chief from 2011 to 2018 of the Journal of Ultrasound Medicine, which is the field's most prestigious publication. Dr. Nazarian could work anywhere in the country, actually in the world. His talent is singular. And he came to Jefferson for just a one-year fellowship and never left. To hear him tell it following his education in Ivy League institutions, when he arrived, he was just blown away by Jefferson's culture. The cooperation, the collaboration, the care with caring. He knew Jefferson was the place for him. Dr. Nazarian embodies the Jefferson values of putting people first, thinking differently, and always doing the right thing. When I talked to him about today's white coat procession, as we have a white coat procession at every investiture, he immediately said, we had to include his nurses and his technicians because caring for patients is a team sport. And I witnessed him personally inviting his nurses and technicians. Endowed professorships are reserved for the best of the best. That's why it's fitting and why we're so excited to invest Dr. Nazarian today as the Conradi Professor of Radiology. Jefferson's first endowment was established in 1905. It was a gift of the family of Jefferson alumnus Samuel Gross, who was immortalized in the Akins painting, The Gross Clinic. The Conradi Professorship will be Jefferson's 92nd and the third in radiology. What's amazing about that number is that 25 of those professorships, nearly a quarter of them, were established in the last 5 years under the leadership of Drs. Klasko and Tikaczynski. And today is the first time in 25 investitures that the faculty member that we're honoring, Dr. Nazarian, invited nurses and technicians to process. Getting 25 professorship endowments in 5 years speaks to the excitement and optimism of Reimagine, the campaign for Jefferson. In concluding, I want to recognize Jonathan Agree, the development officer who so ably served the Department of Radiology and Dr. Nazarian for the past 5 years. Jonathan will be joining another institution to serve as their chief development officer, and we want to thank him for a job well done. Thank you, Jonathan. Leading our campaign and our optimistic revolution is our President and CEO, Dr. Stephen Klasko. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Klasko.
Well, thank you. I learned a lot, Elizabeth. So first of all, those other 24 that didn't invite their nurses and technicians are going to be really embarrassed. So I also want to thank you all for being here. I want to welcome the Nazarian family. And I would like all of you who aren't wearing white coats or blue or green greens to look around at those folks, and just let's have a round of applause for the nation's premier Department of Radiology. So this is going to be a lot of fun for me. It's always fun when we have an investiture. It's especially fun when I can talk about amazing people, talk about our values, and even have a chance to rip a New York baseball team, the one that isn't going to make the playoffs, actually. But first, Dr. Conradi. Some of you know that Jefferson was started by Dr. McClellan, and we were the first medical school in the country to actually think that seeing humans was a good idea before you got your MD. And that's been true of Jefferson throughout its 195 years, that we're about seeing humans. And that's also what brings together Dr. Conradi and Dr. Nazarian. There's not that much information we have about Dr. Conradi because in the class of 1943, they did not have Twitter, they did not have Instagram, but we know that he spent his career as a radiologist serving the community in Western Pennsylvania. He was a Jefferson alumni, often recognized with the highest professional honors. A newspaper headline from actually 1959, Pittsburgh Catholic reported that 2 Beaver Falls Catholics were named Men of the Year. One was Dr. Conradi. I'm not sure who the other one was. But what it said then was Dr. William E. Conradi, president of the staff of Providence Hospital, Beaver Falls, was named Man of the Year by the JCs at their annual award banquet on February 10th. He served as the head of the Providence Hospital staff since 1957. He was a specialist in radiology. He taught for a year at the University of Detroit before becoming chief of the radiology department at Providence in 1953. Sort of another bulwark of Jefferson, of folks that cross both taking care of patients in a community and great academic work. At the same time, and it's very fitting from what I heard of the Nazarian family, he was a member of the board of directors of the United Fund of the Upper Beaver family and the Beaver County Tuberculosis Association. In addition to membership in all of those medical societies and charitable groups, he was active in civic affairs. He belonged to the Beaver Falls Chamber of Commerce and the Beaver Falls Development Corporation. His Man of the Year award really is exactly the kind of thing that we look for when we look for medical students and Jefferson alumni and physicians, putting compassion and service first. And actually, if you look at our 3 values, it's be bold and think different, do the right thing, and put people first. All things that Dr. Nazarian shares with Dr. Conradi. In addition to their generosity to establish his professorship, Dr. Conradi and his wife Rita made a gift to name the lobby of the Hamilton Building. We are very, very proud of Dr. Conradi's example as an alumnus and a benefactor, and his legacy at Jefferson will carry on. So now for Lev. Lev, could you join me at the podium for a second? So the official stuff will happen when Dr. Rao and Dr. Tikachinsky present you with the proclamation, but I have a different presentation. So this is hard for me to do, but we know you are a diehard baseball fan, and you apparently have amazing judgment in the radiology suite, not so amazing judgment in your baseball taste. But so we made a call to Citi Field, and since there really weren't that many people watching the team, we were able to get in the dugout. And we had a special jersey made for this moment, and here it is. Well, you can, because we also have one more well-wisher who wanted to congratulate you today. He couldn't be here in person, but he sent a little something for us to share. Could we play?
Hi, Dr. Burply-Levin here. Listen, I know that you're receiving an incredible honor here tonight, and I wish I was there to congratulate you. But, you know, I had an opportunity to strike out a lot of batters, but you had an opportunity to save a lot of lives. So congratulations to you. Congratulations on your award that you're being honored with, and God bless you.
And just so everybody knows, that's Hall of Famer Burt Blyleven. And what's really cool about Burt is, well, there's a lot of cool things about Burt, but he actually, you know, his stock in trade was throwing a curveball when you least expected it. And as I was thinking about this, nothing could be a metaphor for what's happening in healthcare and academics in Philadelphia. Then we have to hit curveballs every day. You have to hit curveballs every day with your patients. So not only the fact that Burt recognizes how important this is to us and you, but that nobody can hit his curveballs, and we're trying to do that. Just so everybody knows, he's 5th all-time in strikeouts, 14th in inning pitched, and 27th in wins. And he's apparently Lev's favorite non-Mets player of all time. So you can go sit down and Now, Dr. Rao, I don't have any cool jerseys for you, but we'll start with the punchline of Dr. Rao, and that is that she just got done a very, very impressive stint as the president of RSNA, the Radiologic Society of North America. Just literally being invited to that meeting is a big deal. To be president is a huge deal. At the same time that she managed to have a lot of fun with her, I know, what, 5 granddaughters now? Wow. So which was tougher, the 5 granddaughters or the RSNA? Let me just tell you a little bit about Vijay. She was born and raised in New Delhi, India. She was the youngest child of family of physicians and engineers. And it was apparent literally at birth that she was going to be an exceptionally brilliant young woman. At age 16, she received the gold medal for ranking first among thousands of students taking the Delhi Higher Secondary Examination. She attended medical school at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, which is India's premier medical school, and admission is limited to only the top 50 candidates who have taken a nationwide medical science examination. She served a radiology residency at the top radiology program in the world at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, and has remained on the radiology faculty here for her entire career. And that's like the equivalent of a baseball player being on the same team for the entire career. We really appreciate that. She has an amazing record of academic achievement. She's published over 200 articles in peer-reviewed medical literature, as well as 275 and more abstracts. And as I said, she was the president of RSNA. She's a global scholar with honorary memberships in European Society of Radiology, French Radiology Society, and the Israel Society of Radiology. And actually, one of the cool things is that Dr. David Levin actually compared her once to Ben Franklin. What he said, do you remember that? He said that you share the same characteristics. You're smart, sensible, honest, dedicated, hardworking, resourceful, entrepreneurial, innovative, and influential. And he wouldn't trust you with a kite. He didn't say that, I just added that. Dr. Levin is here with us today. Dr. Levin, where are you? Thank you. The professorship in Dr. Levin's name, by the way, was a gift from a college friend of his, Arthur Penn, and was actually the first radiology professorship in the department's history. It is really my extreme pleasure to introduce my friend and somebody that I'm honored to be a colleague of, Dr. Vijay Rao.
Thank you, Dr. Glasgow. That's a tough act to follow. So let's say now we are transitioning into the more, professional part of it and the protocol, And again, thank you all so much for coming tonight or this afternoon. We are here to celebrate the investiture of Dr. Levon Nazarian as the William E. Conradi, MD, Professor of Radiology, and to remember Dr. and Mrs. Conradi for their extraordinary generosity. As department chair, it makes me feel very proud and grateful to have the third endowed professorship in our department and the second one in 2019. Dr. Nazarian grew up in Englewood, New Jersey. His father, as we heard, who's here with us today, emigrated from Beirut, Lebanon, and built a very successful business here. Lev decided not to take the easy path of going into family business. Instead, he pursued his own dreams. He earned his undergraduate and medical degrees from the Ivy League, as you heard, an AB from Harvard College, and an MD from Cornell University. Subsequently, he completed a residency in diagnostic radiology at New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center. I have known Lev since 1991 when he came to Jefferson to pursue a fellowship in ultrasound with Barry Goldberg. He thought he would be here for 1 year. We've heard this story many times. But ultrasound was to become his passion and define his future. He never left Jefferson. Right from the get-go during fellowship, it was very clear that Lev would be a superstar academic radiologist, much more famous than these baseball players. He joined our faculty as assistant professor in 1992 and quickly rose to the rank of professor in 2002. From 2005 to 2013, he served as residency program director, and he's been our vice chair for education since 2004. He served as director of the Jefferson Ultrasound and Radiology Educational Institute and is also the director of the Jefferson Center for MSK Ultrasound-Guided Diagnosis and Treatment. Lev's impact on Jefferson is not only long-standing, it's deep. He has been recognized by Jefferson for his outstanding abilities as a clinician and an educator, with the Dean's Citation for Excellence in Education and the Outstanding Clinician Award. Lev is often listed as a top doc in Philadelphia Magazine, and he's been recognized by Castle Connolly as one of its best doctors. Lev is actually internationally known as a pioneer in the field of musculoskeletal ultrasound. He uses real-time ultrasound to guide minimally invasive treatments for conditions such as carpal tunnel syndrome, trigger finger, tennis elbow, plantar fasciitis, and many other musculoskeletal maladies. These innovative and cost-effective methods of diagnostic evaluation and treatment have been featured in scientific journals, as well as in multiple news media outlets such as the television, radio, and the internet. At Jefferson, he has really developed a very unique service that attracts patients from not only across the country, but from around the world. Being passionate about baseball, Lev continues to advance diagnostic and therapeutic ultrasound methods for monitoring and treating major league players. His research on stress ultrasound of the ulnar collateral ligament in pitchers has revolutionized the way team physicians examine the elbows of pitchers at all levels of competition. Each year, he travels to Clearwater, Florida, and helps the Philadelphia Phillies monitor the pitching arm health of the team's starters and relievers. So he does do something for Phillies too, Steve. As a clinician, he can seem like a miracle worker to suffering patients. I can share many stories about patient feedback I have received about Lev, but here's one of my favorite. One evening, I was at the Philadelphia Art Museum enjoying magnificent art. A woman walked up to me to share her experience as a patient in our department. She went to see Dr. Nazarian after having been to many physicians without relief of her symptoms. She described the visit as surreal and told me that she had been pain-free for months after being treated by Lev. He's like God, she said. She and I have both heard stories, amazing stories from friends on campus, off campus, and I have received countless letters of praise from his patients. As an academician, Lev's credentials are stellar. He has been principal or co-investigator on numerous grants, with 107 peer-reviewed papers in the medical literature, 23 chapters, articles, and opinion pieces. He has served on editorial boards of many top journals, including Radiology, the American Journal of Röntgenology, and Ultrasound in Medicine and Biology. And as you heard, from 2011 to 2018, he was editor-in-chief of the prestigious Journal of Ultrasound in Medicine. Under his leadership, the journal grew not only in size, but also in impact factor. Lev's awards and honors are impressive, as well as numerous. I'll just highlight a few. He was recognized with the Distinguished Service Award from the American Board of Radiology, the Presidential Recognition Award from the American Institute of Ultrasound in Medicine, and the Golden Medal of the Yerevan State Medical University in Armenia, where there's a Nazarian Radiology Center named in his honor. In 2017, Lev received the Joseph H. Holmes Clinical Pioneer Award by the American Institute of Ultrasound in Medicine, a professional society he is now president-elect of. Lev is blessed with a lovely family, as you heard, and I want to acknowledge him too. Put it all together, I would say Lev is the poster child for a triple threat: an outstanding clinician, a talented educator, and a distinguished researcher, and a world-renowned leader in musculoskeletal ultrasound. According to Dr. Larry Needleman, Lev is not just a triple threat, he told me, he's a quadruple threat. He said he's also a very nice person. All of us agree with you, Lev. Lev is indeed a quadruple threat, and I'm delighted we are able to recognize our colleague and friend, Dr. Levon Nazarian, with this richly deserved honor and invest him as the William E. Conradi, MD, Professor of Radiology. Congratulations, Lev. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mark Tukoczynski, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs at Thomas Jefferson University and Dean of Sidney Kimmel Medical College. Mark.
So those of you know who Steve Klasko know that he doesn't really come in second to anybody, but it's one of the most dynamic and transformational leaders around. But Steve, you actually come in second here because I'm about to read a proclamation to God. For those of you that don't know about ultrasound at Jefferson, let me just tell you, Jefferson really is recognized, not just in this country, but around the world. The legacy of Dr. Goldberg, and now passed on through many of you, including Dr. Nazarian. And it's just wonderful to see that kind of heritage passed on from generation to generation. So it really makes it very special. Endowed professorships are among the highest honors faculty receive, an acknowledgement of the esteem with which Jefferson holds them. By investing a faculty member with a professorship, Thomas Jefferson University formally recognizes their outstanding dedication, consummate skill, and singular achievement. We are proud to single out Dr. Levon Nazarian with his honor today. The Board of Trustees of Thomas Jefferson University proudly recognize Levon N. Nazarian, MD, as the first William E. Conradi, MD, Professor of Radiology. Whereas Levon N. Nazarian, MD, is a pioneer in musculoskeletal imaging who, as a clinician, researcher, and educator, has advanced the field of musculoskeletal ultrasound, especially in diagnostic evaluation and innovative ultrasound-guided treatments. Whereas Dr. Nazarian has served with distinction as a member of Jefferson's faculty since 1992 and as an education leader, serving as vice chair for education in the Department of Radiology and director of the Jefferson Ultrasound and Radiology Education Institute. Whereas Dr. Nazarian is a highly regarded researcher who has co-authored more than 100 peer-reviewed manuscripts and 100 abstracts, and has lectured widely at national and international scientific meetings. Whereas Dr. Nazarian has served on the editorial boards of professional and scientific journals, including as editor-in-chief of the prestigious Journal of Ultrasound in Medicine. Whereas Dr. Nazarian has received numerous professional honors and was recognized by the American Institute of Ultrasound in Medicine for his outstanding contributions to the growth and development of diagnostic ultrasound with the James H. Holmes Clinical Pioneer Award and the Presidential Recognition Award. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of Thomas Jefferson University expresses its admiration and appreciation to Dr. Levon N. Nazarian for his many achievements and distinguished service, and extends congratulations to him as the first holder of the William E. Conradi, MD, Professorship in Radiology. This proclamation is presented in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the 10th of September, 2019. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. That was somewhat overwhelming. Okay. So there are going to be a lot of people to thank, but I'll start with thanking Dr. Dale and the OIA for arranging this fantastic occasion. Thanks to Dr. Klasko for your remarks and for the uniform and the Burt Blyleven. But I think I know who was behind that. My lunch partners at Atrium from the OIA that I eat with all the time. Anyway, Dr. Rao, thanks to you, of course, for those remarks, and Dr. Kuczynski for the proclamation. Also, of course, want to thank the donor, the Conradi family. There was nobody from the family who could be here today, but I will always feel a connection to somebody who sounds like he had the same passion for radiology that I do myself. So in that, to always be connected to that name during my professional career is something special. We also heard about a lot of the family who's here. I also want to mention my mom, who couldn't be here today, but she's doing well. But with, my mom was sort of my best friend growing up. I owe a lot to her. Her positive attitude, her feeling that if you devoted yourself to anything, you could achieve it, and was an incredibly supportive person, still is. And so I just want to make sure that I recognize my mom, who couldn't be here today. All right, so how did we get here? Well, you know, yes, I could have made a lot more money going into my father's business, and in fact, a lot more money. And sometimes I wonder, were you crazy? No, but why didn't I do it? Well, because I was a math and science nerd, and I wanted to do something related to math and science, and you know, medicine seemed to be something that sort of fit well with that. And so one of my friend's father was a physician at Columbia, and we had no physicians in our family, like none. Just make money, that's it, you know. But my friend's father, I heard, was a doctor at Columbia, and so I spent a couple summers with him when I was in college. And he was something called a radiologist. I didn't know what that was either. But anyway, but he had just been working on something called a CAT scanner, which was in its infancy. And he had me go through these CAT scans of the brain and find and measure tumors. And this blew my mind away. It's like, what, you don't have to open up the body to see inside? I mean, this was, you know, now we take all this stuff for granted. But this totally blew me away, that you could do such a thing. And I also saw what his life was like, because he taught, he did research, and he had patients, did a lot of procedures. And I guess that was always my mental template. And that man was named Sadek Hillel, which a couple of people in the room know. But he was my first inspiration to apply to medical school and have radiology in the back of my mind. Once I got to medical school, decided I wanted to do radiology and stay at my home institution, Cornell. The next mentor I met was Eli Kazam, another person that a lot of you know and a couple of you have trained with, who Larry Needleman and I often say, when asked who's the smartest physician you ever met in your life, forget about radiology, smartest physician, we will say Eli Kazam without hesitation. And here was somebody who really pushed radiology to a limit that I didn't know it could be pushed, where he just was so central to everything that happened in the hospital. Every time you would discuss any patient that was being seen for anything, the rounds would always stop with, well, what did Eli say about the scan? What did Eli say? Everything was what Eli said about the scan. And because he always had a way of interpreting things that no one else could. So he was another very important mentor. Now, I always sort of assumed after doing residency at Cornell that I'd come to Penn for fellowship. We had a lot of people go to Penn from Cornell for fellowship, stay in sort of the Ivy League track and this kind of thing. But there was a resident who was ahead of me named the late Chris Connors, who came back. He was 1 year ahead of me, and he came back from Philadelphia, and he said, you know, I interviewed at 2 programs at Philadelphia, and I'm going to tell you something. You're going to like Jefferson better than Penn. And my first question to him is, what's Jefferson? I mean, I could barely point to Philadelphia on a map after all. I mean, I'd been to Philadelphia once in my life up till then, you know, but Jefferson, you know. So he goes, no, I interviewed at this place called Jefferson, and I'm just telling you, you're going to like it better. So the next year came, and I applied for abdominal imaging, what called body imaging at that point, and he was absolutely right. I went to the 2 institutions, and I went to Jefferson. I said, this is the place. Now, part of that is where I met the most important mentor of my career, Barry Goldberg, who's here with his amazing wife, Phyllis, who I also look at as a mentor in a lot of ways. And actually, at the end of the interview day, he actually offered me a position, and I said, well, you know, I'd like to interview at a couple other places first. He said, when's your last interview day? So I gave him the day. 8 a.m. the following day, I get a phone call. Never forget that, and it's, hi, this is Barry Goldberg. You had your last interview, what did you decide? Now, if I had one iota of doubt what I wanted to do, after that phone call, it just evaporated. Yeah, I'll take it. Boom, that was it. Because I was so impressed, our attendings who barely talked to us, that this person, who is this famous guy, would call me and offer me a spot like that. So I took it. Now, and then I, of course, ran this by Eli Kazam, my Cornell mentor, who said, listen, you go to Jefferson, before you know it, you'll be working with Barry Goldberg and Larry Needleman and Al Kurtz and Don Mitchell and Rich Wexler, and you're going to be, before you know it, into so many great things in your academic career. And of course, that turned out to be right. So I came to Jeff, did my fellowship, but the problem, and then I decided I'm not leaving this place. I want to stay here. Problem is there were no jobs. So quietly, a guy named Ray Montecavo, when he heard I wanted to stay, took me into his office one day, and he said, Lev, don't tell the chair yet, but I'm leaving at the end of this year to go into private practice. He said, don't tell him because I don't want it to affect my bonus. But when you're ready for me to tell him, I'll tell him, okay? So I interviewed at a bunch of places, and I got an offer from Penn, and they said that I had till Friday to tell them. So I went to Ray's office on Wednesday, and I said I'm leaving. He went to Dr. Levin's office. On Thursday, Dr. Levin called me into his office, offered me the job, and I called Penn on Friday, and I said thanks, but no thanks. And that's how I got hired. So thank you, Dr. Levin, for making that all happen. And to Ray Montecalvo also. All right, so next turning point is, trying to get my feet wet, get my wings as an attending. And one day in my mailbox, this piece of paper this big shows up. And it says Musculoskeletal Ultrasound Society meeting. And I just threw it in the garbage. I mean, we always get junk mail every day. So the next day, it reappears in my mailbox with a little Post-it that said, see me, BBG, Dr. Goldberg's initials. So I said, you wanted to see me? He goes, yes. I'm not going to do an imitation of you right now, by the way. I'm just going to say it straight. He said, this is the next big thing in ultrasound, and I think you should learn it. I'm like, musculoskeletal? I'd never even heard of it. So I came home with the flyer, which had a picture of the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida on it. And I showed it to my wife, who said, if we get a babysitter, let's go. She calls her mother, who says, we had 2 little kids at home. She said, I'll come, but you got to get me a swing set for the kids. Because as long as I have a swing set, I'll be able to entertain them. So it was still winter, and we're out looking for swing sets. There's like still some snow on the ground, the wind's howling, and we're like looking like desperately for a swing set. Finally, we find this thing, and they put it in, whatever. Her mom comes, we go down. So I walk into the room, and there standing there is Bill Middleton, who was a big deal then and still is in the field of ultrasound. And I asked him, is this something good? And he goes, good, this is great, this is the future. And I'm like, okay, it's good enough for Barry Goldberg, good enough for Bill Middleton, maybe I should learn this. So I came back, started scanning, friends, family, myself, and also people who were having MRIs. I would scan them to sort of correlate what I was seeing with the MRI. And then I started offering this sort of like a little quiet service. I'd meet a few doctors. Hey, you're a foot surgeon. Do you mind sending me a few ultrasounds? And we can. And what I said to them, look, I said, I'm going to be wrong, okay, at the beginning, but if I am wrong, I want you to tell me, and then so I could make it better. But as it turns out, as time went on, of course, you learn something and you make fewer and fewer mistakes as time goes on, and then that referral base started to grow. The next big turning point was meeting John McShane, who was head of the Sports Medicine Fellowship, who cold called me one day and said, there are a lot of procedures that I want to innovate, but I think I need ultrasound visualization to do it. He was talking about treatments for tennis elbow, plantar fascia, you heard about them, carpal tunnel. He said, if you scan for me and show me what I'm doing, do you think we could innovate these procedures together? And that's what led to just an incredible geometric growth in my knowledge and excitement, because every day we'd come back with these new procedures we had done that day. Claudia can attest to it. I would just be like breathless with all the stuff we were doing. And a lot of those techniques got adopted nationwide, even worldwide, and continue to get refined. So that was another big turning point in that respect. And it also introduced me to the world of sports medicine. So, they do what you love and you won't work a day in your life. So now suddenly I can combine my passion for sports and baseball with ultrasound and imaging, because as part of working with Dr. McShane, I now was hooked into the Phillies organization, and for 18 years straight, I've gone down to Phillies spring training with my ultrasound unit, 18 straight years. I at first tried to hide the fact I was a Mets fan, but that didn't work very well. They now all know I am, and they look at me with a mixture of disgust and pity, but which is kind of, which I totally get, because part of being a Mets fan is you learn how to suffer. That's why my kids are all Mets fans, and they understand that suffering, as my mother said, is good for the soul. So, but anyway, but I'm very impartial when I'm taking care of your beloved Philadelphia Phillies. Okay, so that sort of then culminated now in this new center we have over at 909 Walnut through Dr. Rao's help and the generosity of Rich Webster, the president of the hospital. We're able to get that done, and some of you have seen the place, but it's brand new and wonderful, and we're very happy about it. Okay, now, so that's sort of the clinical piece. Now, the teaching piece, yes, I absolutely adore, love the residents, the fellows. It's really sort of the most fun that I do is teach you and learn from you, and thank you for coming today. And it was great being program director, but I also just enjoy every single little interaction that we have. And so that was certainly a very big factor. And then being able to inherit the jury, the teaching center from Dr. Goldberg was another big honor, to be able to give continuing education to so many people, and then to combine something else. So combine my father's philanthropy with Dr. Goldberg's vision to create a teaching center in Armenia. And that's how that came to be. And that's how we started slow with just a little ultrasound training center. And yes, now we have a department of radiology over there that we just actually bought a new CT scanner, again, thanks to my dad's generosity. And so that continues to grow and flourish. Now, finally, writing papers. So for all of you, especially the young people in the audience, so I didn't know if I could ever write a paper. Like I knew I liked teaching, and I knew I liked clinical work, but I didn't know if I could write a paper because we didn't have much experience at Cornell. But when I came here, there was so much going on. It was such a fertile soil. Okay, so everything just started happening. You get involved with this project, that project. People were there to mentor you, how to write, how to do statistics. People like Ethan Halpern and Fleming Forsberg and all this, and too many to mention, for statistical and scientific help. And before you know it, it just started happening. And then once I started focusing on the musculoskeletal diseases, that became my niche, and then that really took off. So I found that I liked writing a lot more than I thought. I liked reviewing papers, and ultimately did an editorial fellowship, and then became an editor of the journal, which was a lot of fun. But 8 years was enough. But anyway, it was a great time, though. I really did enjoy that, and that was sort of the culmination of my career. So in looking back on it, so when I worked with Dr. Hillel in college in those summers at Columbia, it sort of has come to fruition. I mean, everything that I wanted to be, it happened. So that clinical research teaching, it happened, and it's hard to believe it happened, but it did. And this day is sort of for me a celebration of that, and I'm glad that you're all here to celebrate it with me. Okay, so now a few more thank yous. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank the physicians who have been my colleagues, both in the Department of Radiology and outside all these years. I've always been amazed by how people at this institution, even when they're very, very accomplished, are very unassuming. There's very little arrogance around here, and we all know who the arrogant people are. No, sorry, strike it from the record. Sorry, strike that from the record. Okay, anyway, but truly, I mean, that's really a great part about Jefferson, and one of the things that drew me here is the esprit de corps. And so I thank my clinical colleagues, especially those in radiology who have become my brothers and sisters. This is such a stable department that 28 years ago, many of you were the same people, which says something. A lot of people feel like I do about staying here. The next big group that I have to thank are sort of my work family, the sonographers. Because those of you in radiology know this, but those of you may not realize that we work shoulder to shoulder with the sonographers every step of the way. And we have the best sonographers in the country, probably the world, okay? I haven't been to every place in the world, but I can't imagine a better group. And so that's why I wanted you to proceed, because you make all this happen. And so not only to make the diagnoses and take care of patients, but also we just have a lot of fun, And so that's and same for Karen Potts and Shannon Burke, my two nurses who we have a few patients in the audience, and you know how hard they work and how effective they are at keeping the clinical service running. And so definitely thank you for everything. And again, I want to thank the patients too who have come here, because you're what it's all about. And I want to thank all the administrative staff who I'm looking at right now. I would like to name everybody, but thank all of you because you know it takes all of you to make this place the special place it is. Okay, and now finally, a few words about family. Okay, so you already heard a lot of the backgrounds of my family, but obviously I want to acknowledge my Uncle Joe and Karen. Uncle Joe is my mom's brother. My sister Seta and my nephew Nick, who came down. And again, I'm just going right to left here. My dad, who he's just turned 94 and still cooking, man. And he still goes to work every day, and he gets picked up at around 7:30, 7, and he gets dropped off at like 11:30 every day. Yeah, absolutely. So still making more money than I do, by the way. And it's not even close. Okay, anyway. My 3 fabulous children. Okay, Danielle, my daughter Daniela, who's a psychotherapist, just got her master's not too long ago. My son Gregory, who is working as an analyst in a consulting firm, having graduated from the University of Michigan a couple years ago. And my son Matt, who is a radiology resident at NYU Langone Medical Center. And who I'm subtly trying to lure back, well, maybe not so subtly, trying to lure back eventually to Jefferson, but we'll see how that goes. And then there's Claudia. All right, so none of this would be possible without her, period, okay? Because, you know, you have no idea all the hours of working both at home, on the road, traveling, angst, and she, every step of the way, huge support. She told me not to say anything embarrassing about her, so if I'm getting too embarrassing, let me know. But she bought into the mission, is a good way to say it. She understood that whenever I was working or doing whatever I was doing, this was to achieve my dreams of what I wanted to achieve. And not only did she not stand in the way, she helped and encouraged me every step of the way, raised 3 fantastic children. And I really want to dedicate this professorship to you, because without you, I wouldn't be able to happen. Okay, so basically, just for all of you who took time out of your busy day in the middle of a week to come out for this event, I give you my heartfelt thanks, and I really appreciate it more than you can know. Thank you.
Wow. So first of all, I also just want to do a shout out to Barry Goldberg as an obstetrician. Barry created a window into babies through ultrasound that just didn't exist before. Barry, you're one of my heroes, and it's great to see you here. And in that vein, Matthew, let me know what day you graduate your residency. I'll call you at 8 a.m. the next morning. Try to learn from mentors. And far be it from me to give advice to a quadruple threat, but I just want you to know, a lot of accolades. When you walk down from that podium and you go back to Claudia, you are not a god. You are not a quadruple threat. You're taking out the garbage. So, just erase all that stuff from your mind. That step down is going to be a big step down when you get home tonight. So look, everybody, one of the most fun parts of this is, please get together. This is what makes Jefferson and academic healthcare great. We have desserts, we have coffee. So please, if you can, hang out with your colleagues, say hi to the family, and congratulate them. Have a great day.